Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Radio Woman podcast. Can you tell that I am excited? Yep, I'm very, very excited. To my first time listeners and to my OGs, I thank you for spending your time with me and my amazing guests. I love, love, love you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast if you actually do benefit from it. So today, we are talking about navigating through an unexpected parenting experience, and I discussed autism with Fatimah Giwa Abdulrahman. Fatimah Giwa is an autism parent coach, a parent advocate for children with autism and special needs, and is certified autism and applied behavior specialist. She's a writer passionate about sharing her knowledge and experience with the world. She is a wife and a dedicated mom of 3. After being a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years, she finds her voice through her love for writing and is using it to spread awareness about autism. She offers coaching and counselling services, especially to moms with children with autism, giving them hope and helping them understand their children, and also guiding them through difficult and challenging areas. She wants to be the voice, especially for the Muslim parent who is looking to raise God-conscious children despite being on the autistic spectrum. During this episode, Sis Fatimah alluded to the fact that she's on a journey to becoming more self-aware, and from our conversation, I can attest that she is walking her talk. Sis Fatimah reminded me about self-acceptance, reflecting and accepting your mistakes and flaws, and using your lessons to do better. This episode is packed with so much honesty, and I love it. Before we move on to the conversation, I would like to add that as at the time this episode is released, Fatimah is holding a virtual potty training workshop for parents of children with autism on the 3rd of December 2022. If you are or you know someone who will benefit from this workshop, please reach out to her. I will include the details in the show notes. On that note, let's get into this conversation. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, sis.
Wa alaikum assalam. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that we finally get to do this, and thank you so much for honoring my invite. I know that it's not really easy to come on and share about yourself and all that, particularly because we're going to be talking about something very personal, right? But I appreciate you, and I hope that inshallah, your story is able to help other people out there, and also bless somebody. Bismillah. All right, sis. Okay. Yeah, so for everyone listening today, I'm sure I would have introduced her, but I have Sis Fatimah Giwa Abdulrahman here. And, I met her. I came across that page basically on Instagram, on Sis Sharifa Olaogun's page. And I'm like, this lady is so beautiful in a I don't know, like, I just thought, like, who is this lady? Like, she looks so beautiful. Like, so I said, let me go and look at her page. Then I go to the page and, I see you speaking up about, autism, and I saw your child, your son, your children. And I'm like, this lady looks like, someone I can learn from. So, I followed your page because most times I try to be careful with the pages I follow because I'm trying to guard my own space as well, right? But I was like, oh no, I need to, follow your journey. And from there, you followed back, back and forth, like pictures, attended my events and all that. So I think we built up from there, alhamdulillah. So thank you so much. Again, one of the perks of social media. It's not all bad.
Oh, exactly. So many.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. All right. So, Bismillah. Let's get on to this conversation. So, like I said, I met you on Instagram, and I saw you share posts about your son Khalil, and about him being on the autism spectrum. But when I was looking through your pictures and your posts, I did see somebody that was forging ahead through it all, right? I know everything is not rosy. I know social media is just like a small fraction of what's actually happening in your life. Well, like I said, I saw somebody that was, you were moving through it, or you've kind of had a good, should I say, grasp about it. So my question is, how did you get to this point, right? How was the journey like to get to this point where you are able to speak more boldly about this, come out and share stuff so personal to you that some other people might be shying away from, basically?
Well, it wasn't. The journey wasn't easy. In the beginning, I was never like this. So my son Khalil is 7. He was diagnosed with autism when he was about 2.5 years old. And before the diagnosis, there were a lot of things that I wouldn't have known, if not for the fact that he was my second son. So it actually, I was able to make comparisons from what the experience that I had with my first daughter, and to the things the signs that he was showing at that age. So it wasn't like he was born that way. It wasn't like he had a very basic, normal childhood like every baby. He smiled, he laughed up till he was, till he turned 1. And suddenly, right after his first year, I can't really say specifically when, but I'm thinking maybe 16 months thereabout. So we started to notice, him being more withdrawn. He wasn't blabbing anymore. He wasn't, there was no eye contact. He just likes to be like on his own, isolated in a kind of, corners of the house. You don't find him interacting or playing with his sister. And he wasn't responding to his name. You will call him and he will not respond. He won't even budge. He won't even turn to look at you, and he won't come to you. And, there were just so many things that we were noticing, but, you just be like,
it's one of those things.
It's one of those things. Each child, they are different. Maybe that's how it is. But there were some other things that I thought were strange, because apart from those other things that I mentioned, I couldn't send him he couldn't help me do anything in the house. He could not pick up toys. He could not help me. I could not send him on an errand. And I remember with his sister, by 1 year plus, I was sending her on errand. Like before she turned 2, she could get me things. And by the time she was 2, I knew she was helping me get diapers. She was helping me pick up toys. Even when I was pregnant with him, she used to help me pick up toys on the floor, clean up, just little things that you engage children with. He also didn't know how to play with toys. You will buy him a toy, he will just pick up and show no interest in the toy. Like, children are always excited about toys. So all those things, I just kept noting down those things and really didn't think much about it, until one day my husband came home one day and said, I heard something, can you look up this thing on Instagram? And I said, can you look up this on the internet, And then that was how I came about the word autism. I had never heard, even if I had, I'd never paid
so much attention. Like most
exactly to that. And I even thought that maybe it was something that only white people, maybe in the movies. And I thought it was not something peculiar to black. And I looked it up and I saw there was a list of symptoms. And I checked out of the 15 symptoms that I saw, I checked out about 12 or 13.
Wow.
Which were related to what I was currently seeing with my son. And that was when I began to panic. So, and that was how the journey began. And, we started going from doctors to doctor, trying to find out what exactly, some people would say, no, he was fine. There was so many, it wasn't really straightforward. Like, we got the right answers at the same time. So we had to go through different, opinions, exactly, to get to where we are. And not until we had to travel to the States for his diagnosis. We got the autism diagnosis thereabout. He was 2.5, and that was just how the journey began for me.
Wow. That sounds like, as a mom, when you said you started to panic, I literally felt it in my heart, because it's like, oh my God, it's almost like you're about the possibility of entering a particular phase is, like a lot, and you start to panic. So I really, really felt that in my heart. And I'm so glad that, he was able to get a diagnosis at least on time. stuff that could have gone on, and you might have handled it differently. Let me not say in a negative way. So alhamdulillah for that. So so when you got this diagnosis, right, when you realized that your son is neurodivergent, right, that is neurodivergent, what emotions did you feel when you realized this, especially knowing that your first child was or is neurotypical, right? How did you feel about that? What were the emotions that came through?
Well, if I remember clearly, it was actually a relief for me. So I'm going to explain why.
Please.
Why was that? The signs and the initial, the doctors initially thought that because he was not responding to his name, he was not responding to really anything. So the first thing they were looking at were deafness and hearing issues, and that got me really scared. And so when I now found out it was autism, that is why it was like I was relieved that okay, at least this autism thing from what I've read about it, they get to a certain age, they outgrow certain things, they learn with therapy, with a lot of things. There's hope, compared to when you have hearing issues or and deafness, which will need a life. They would have kind of lifelong challenges, But I don't know, for some reason I just felt really relieved that okay, it is autism. I will be able to fight through it. People have overcome. People have they've outgrown it. They've been able to recover from a lot of the challenges. So I just believe that I just believe that I'll also be one of those people that will fight through it with my child and be able to overcome it by God's grace, inshallah.
Ameen. And would you say that because of the resources that you came across, would you say that that was one of the, should I say, triggers for you to also come out to speak more on it?
Yeah, I will say so. But as at the time I got his diagnosis, there weren't so much people talking about it. Personally. I didn't find people that I know. I didn't find people that so I could only go online, and find articles from foreign websites and stuff like that. And I didn't really know where to go to until thankfully, like we said, social media do have its own, benefits so much. And I give so many benefits, so many achievements to the social media effects. So one day a friend of mine shared something about autism just around that time that I was just, you can imagine how Allah plans this thing, just shared something about autism, blah blah blah, that there's this friend that she knows that has a support group that for people that and then immediately I saw it, I jumped onto the support group, and that was really where I got the first-hand information that I saw people like me, Black people like me, Nigerians, everything, all talking through, and they were the first people that I was able to, share my experience with them, and exactly. So they were able to guide me. Okay, this is what you need to do, and this is how you need to do. But I didn't see individual people doing it, and I thought that if there was actually someone writing or talking about his or her own story, or I think it will actually go a long way to educate people that are just going to get their own diagnosis. People like me that are just coming up now today and I have my diagnosis, and I'm thinking, where do I go to? How do I start? And it's not always everything that you can actually talk about in a group. Not everybody wants to share some things in a group. So you actually want someone that you can actually reach out to relate to, talk to, that has been through that experience, to be able to guide you and just to make you feel and can resonate with the things that you're actually going through. It goes through it goes a long way to make you feel, to give you hope, to give you that strength, to do everything that you can for your child.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for speaking out. I actually do have someone else that I know on Instagram, and you might know her. That's and I know her child is on the autism spectrum as well. It's such an amazing lady. I see the work she does with her child, and one day I just felt the need to just reach out to her and just commend her just randomly, because like I can't even imagine what it is like. But I'll keep praying for you guys. May Allah continue to lead your affairs basically. All right. So I know we've been talking a lot about autism, and I know some people on this call, like you said, we might have heard it, but it's just even me that, I have a medical background. I have a background in pharmacy. It's just something that, yes, I've heard, but it's not like I've gone, in depth into it. So in the most packed but most succinct way possible that you can just tell us about autism. What are the main things that we need to know as people?
Okay, well, autism is a neurological condition. It causes children to have difficulties in areas such as speech, nonverbal communication, social skills, repetitive behaviors, intense interest, and unusual response to sensory stimuli. These, I know, the words can sound like big, but I'm just trying to, yeah, exactly. So when I'm talking about verbal and non-verbal, they can actually some of them have difficulty speaking or even showing you what they want. That's even the non-verbal one. Pointing, making gestures, playing. So that's the part I'm talking about now is social skills also. Social skills, things that you expect a child to know: how to kick a ball, how to blow a balloon, how to these are just like basic things that you expect every child
to be able to skills now, right?
Yeah, and then the motor skills again, picking up toys, feeding. Some have difficulties feeding themselves. My son had difficulties feeding himself until he was, I think, 3.5 before he was able to get to that. Okay. Some could go a long way. With autism, every child is different. You don't see one child with autism and say, oh, I've seen a child with autism before.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. They might all have similar signs or symptoms or difficulties and challenges in there, some aspect, but not all. Some can have one, maybe just social skills that could be challenging. Some could be behavioral. Some could be speech. Some could be, so it could be selective. It could just be one of those things that I've listed, and it could be a combination of all. So like for my son, he was non-verbal. He can't actually speak. He can't even make non-verbal requests, like to point at something, or even come and drag you. He wasn't even dragging at that time. He would just cry for anything that he wanted. At 2, 3, he would just cry. Even till today, we still have a lot of meltdowns.
So how do you decipher what he wants then?
Well, I think that's a mother a gift that we have as exactly. So it's one of the most difficult part of having a child with autism, to know what the child wants. There are some times that I don't know what he wants, and he will cry and you will cry, and those are really the most tiring and depressing times for, because you as a mother, you feel like you can't help your child. You don't even know what your child wants. And how can you help your child at that point? There are some things that I'm able to pick out from, paying attention, observing. Okay, when does he cry? When does he usually make this cry? Okay, then I connect it. Okay, this is always when we're going to school, or this is always when we go to a certain place. So I know that probably he doesn't like that place,
So you have to do a lot of observing.
Observant. You have to be very, very observant with children with autism. And they also have, since they lack social and emotional skills, they don't know when they are hurting someone. They don't know when they hurt themselves. They don't know how to express emotions, sad, happy. They don't know how to tell. My son still can't tell me he has headache. He still can't tell me he has a tummy ache. He still can't tell me some of this things. So there's a lot of things that we're still working on, trying to get him to teach him. So basically, let me just say in a nutshell, autism, you are just teaching the child everything that you will expect, a neurotypical child to pick up and learn gradually or imitate from other people. With children with autism, you have to go to the basics. You have to start from ABC. You have to teach the child to pick up a pen, to pick up toys, to kick the ball, to blow balloons, to do so many things, to blow his nose. The list is endless. And as we are checking off some lists, we're picking up more. So that's just basically it. I hope I summed it up in a more as much as possible.
Yes. I think you have, and I think for everyone that's probably haven't heard of it, or have been a bit fuzzy around, I think you've done a good job. Barakallah fikum. That's in fact barakallah fikum, sis. All right, so we've been talking about autism. We've spoken about your son for a bit. So I want to bring it down to you. How has having a child with autism affected you? And I want to hear the positive and the negative side, right? I do know that yes, we put our trust in Allah, and it's very easy for us to want to always be in that positivity state. But I do know that if we are being realistic, there are negative feelings that we have, and so I want to know, how has this whole journey affected you positively and negatively as a person?
Well, I would like to start first with positively. I have learned so much that if I didn't have a child with autism, people that don't have children on the spectrum will still not know about these things, and will still not take these things seriously. One of the things for me is the healthy lifestyles for my children, choosing to feed them the right things. Before then, I just give them anything, even though I'm just conscious about the normal sugar and stuff like that. I just buy anything in the store. And then during the time I started to research about how to help children with autism, they talk about diets and stuff like that. And I would go online. I will read so much about gluten-free diet and casein-free. I will read a lot about, the coloring, food coloring, and the effects, MSG, and the effects on children. So somehow I began to pay attention to, the things that we're eating. I started to know so many things about supplements. Like you can actually replace some supplements with food. And I'll go online and look at, okay, so this is the vitamin that I want my child to have. Okay, so let me see what food is it, and I'll go and I'll buy those foods, and because I don't want to be giving them the supplements, or I don't have access to those supplements, so I'm replacing them with the proper food.
Natural food.
Basically, I learned so much from that, and being the person that I always someone that loved trying new things, so it always kept me, engaged. I was always looking forward to trying that new thing. And, as a mom that just had discovered you have a child, you're always eager to try something new. So as they are recommending this, and you're picking up, you're trying to do this, and so I will say that was one of the first things that I learned from my son positively. Secondly, I started to see people differently. Because of the way I see my son, I started to be more empathetic. I started to be more observant to people. I try to look beyond
grace.
Exactly. So I started to go. I used to be the one that gets really angry. Like if I send you a message now and it takes you like an hour to respond, in the past I would be like, I will start getting angry. Like, but I sent you a message, the person didn't respond, that kind of thing. But after a while, I started to put that other person, I'll be like, I'll make an excuse for that person in my mind. I'm sure it wasn't deliberate. I'm sure the person has some. I'm sure the person is also going through something. I try to also So I started. So I started to think more about how other people are feeling or how other people are going through, and So and my level of patience also really, really, really increased. I've never been the one to be like so patient. My daughter, oh my God, I don't know. I'm just happy that I think Khalil really taught me so many things, because with her, I was so impatient with her. I didn't want to say that word, but I know that, and when you can accept that you did something wrong, I think it's the greatest. Is just the greatest feeling that that you accepted that you did. I did have
and that shows a lot of growth as well,
exactly.
as self-acceptance, because it's not easy, especially when you know that you have the upper hand over this person. Because I mean, you could have done anything and gotten away with it, right? But knowing that I use yourself, that this girl, maybe how I handled that when I was maybe I was
it really helped me. It helped me, to now to be a better parent, to be able to understand, okay, these kids, and be able to balance, how I relate to all of them at a certain level. Yeah. So this were actually the alhamdulillah. Negatively, I went through so many things. I went through several stages of depression, constantly feeling overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed easily on a normal day. So you cannot imagine me having a child and, we go out for no reason, he's having meltdowns. And one of the things that trigger my emotions that made me really mad back then is that when those meltdown starts in public, everybody's looking at you and they're judging you with their stares. And
you don't know
sometimes sometimes they make me feel like I was doing something wrong. I've had instances where people will yell back at me like, I wasn't doing the right thing to my child, and they don't understand that this child, I've tried everything and nothing was working, and I just didn't know what to do myself at that particular point, So it was a really difficult time for me in those kind of during that time. But alhamdulillah, I was able to get through all those things one step at a time.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for sharing, sis. So, sis, we spoke about, those situations where Khalil has a meltdown out there and, people don't even know, that your child is on this autism spectrum. So how did you navigate, or how do you navigate explaining to people around you? Do you bother anymore, or, initially, how did you navigate that?
Well, initially I didn't bother that much because I don't even know where to start or how to explain, at that point. So, but all I did was that if we go to visit a family, I will let the family know when he starts having the meltdown. I'll explain to them that because when he was little, he didn't like closed doors. He still doesn't like being in a closed door, but he does better now than when he was small. When he was small, he will, once we enter a room and they close the door of the house, or a house, they close the door, he just wants to be wandering on the street or outside.
Wow.
So I will explain to them, that, he's a child on the spectrum, and this is him, having a meltdown and stuff like that. So I would let people know. Also, when we go to parties and he's running around, because most of these children, they also have hyperactivity. And because, he's not aware of danger, he's not aware of emotions, he could trip over something, he could trip over a child and just continue going. And people would think that he's rude, or he's, he's a stubborn child,
mean,
exactly, or he's mean. So I try to at least let the host of the party know that, okay, he's a child. And so everybody, even the people attending to the kids, will pay extra attention to him while we're there. So I only do that to people that I know that it's important for me to educate them at a certain period, or where we are, even maybe when we're traveling in the airplane, and we go to certain places, or in the bus, and he's trying to be like, get on, do some things that people will find, why is this child doing that kind of thing? He could see something on a lady's hair and go and touch. Maybe he sees the kind of a drawing on her chest or something. He could just go and he's just reading it, or it's just exactly. But nobody will understand that a 5-year-old should be doing that, or a 7-year-old should be doing that. So I just apologize to them and let them know that. And most times they actually, they now smile and they're accepting, and they're like, oh, that's fine, it's actually what I do. And this year I took extra liberty to educate his school, his classes, and some of the the students in his school, because I believe that they needed to know, even the students needed to know that he is a child on the spectrum. They needed to know what autism is, so that to be able to include him, they will be able to, show him empathy, include him in the plays, when they play, and the things that they are doing. And to also help the teachers, other teachers that are not his class teachers, to understand and how a child with autism is. That way it will make the environment safer for him and more inclusive for him. So
Oh, fantastic. So he goes to normal school, like normal
he goes to, yes, inclusive, yes. Of course, he goes to an inclusive school where they take care of children with special needs and other neurotypical kids, yes.
Okay, fantastic. That's amazing to hear. All right, so talking about, when people know that, okay, your child is on the spectrum, they are more accepting, right? I know when we were on the call, I had an event, don't leave before you leave, a career discussion. And, I know you mentioned stuff about having experience like snide comments from people. So, of course, how did that make you feel? And what can you tell everyone listening to this to do better in terms of showing up or being there for parents with neurodivergent kids in general?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing I would say is that when I started talking about my son, he wasn't really, like, people really didn't understand what exactly it is. They saw it as, you just being nagging or, just talking. And I had a certain period that I had people calling me to tell me to stop talking about him or sharing
Like
about
social
him.
media. Okay.
Exactly, on social media, and those things affected me a little bit, because they didn't really understand why I was doing that. It wasn't just about it wasn't for pity or any kind of, it was just me letting out what is in my mind. And there was something particular about me doing that. I've always loved writing. For me, it's how I get through some of my emotions. And once I let it out, sometimes I write and I keep, I don't share everything, but the few that I share is just me letting out that steam and, just having that, exactly, reflecting and having like a fresh breath of fresh air, because I feel like I piled up so much in my mind. And because I don't talk to a lot of people, I don't really interact, I don't have so much physical community around me. So by doing that, that's how I get a lot of things out. And when I do that, I realize that I feel so peaceful. A few people will comment under my comment sections, like, oh, are you worrying too much? And there are some certain comments that will actually make me feel even sad. But as time went by, I didn't let those comments hold me back. I didn't let those people calling me to tell me that don't do that, don't share this, don't share that. I didn't let that stop me from doing what I was doing, because it was helping me. Even if they were not seeing it, it was helping me. It was a form of therapy for me. And I knew that, this was a calling for me. So I stopped that a while for some time, but then later on I was like, no, if I stop,
was too strong.
exactly, it was too small. It was too strong. I couldn't stop, because if you look at it in the real sense, this is me. This is how I've always been. I've always been passionate about sharing my experience. Even before my son's diagnosis, I do that on a lot of pages. I'm always writing. I just feel like there's always a difference, when you share your experience with people. And I grew up with my dad always saying, one of his favorite quotes saying, experience is the best teacher. And I have that principle also in me, because I learned so much from the experiences of people even before I got of age. So many things in life that I've learned, I've not seen them in books, I've not seen them in anywhere. I've only seen them from the experiences. I've learned from a lot of experiences. So I believe that by sharing my own experiences, people can also learn and emulate from what I have gone through, and be able to make differences and not repeat the same mistakes as I did while I was while I was in the beginning of our journey.
Mashallah, absolutely, I agree with you, sis. And so I think, again, people need to understand that people are different. There are some people that process things, they are okay with not sharing, and there are some people that you want to share. So I think we should just respect other people, as long as it's not disturbing, like it's not what do I call it?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
what I actually thought was that in social media, you find people doing crazy things on social media. You find people dancing, twerking, and they're sharing these videos. Why can't we use social media for the good things? Why can't we use it to share good information? Why can't we use it to share awareness, educate people?
I think some people just find it uncomfortable, but that's really not on you, really. It's on them, right? So, and nobody can really say if you're sharing too much, because it's your life. They don't know exactly how much you're sharing, right? So I think sometimes some people come from the position of, oh, maybe you're sharing too much, but what is too much really? How do you gauge too much, right? So it's
sometimes I even feel like I am not sharing that, because there are certain things that exactly, there are certain things that even if I want to be as open as I am, because I am carrying people along on my journey. I should be as open as possible, you know. But I still hold myself back to share some certain things because they are very sensitive. They are scary to me. So before I share such things, I process it. I go through, I challenge that thing, I hold on to it and I challenge it. And once I'm done, I've faced it, then I'm not ready to share it, because I've actually, I've gone through it and I've overcome it. So now I'm okay to share it, because I know that, but what benefit will it be sharing something scary to someone that, it would be more scary when I've not gotten the answer to that thing
yourself.
So
oh dear, yeah, but absolutely understand you. Thanks for sharing that, sis. So you spoke about writing and sharing being a way to, it was like a form of therapy for you, right? And I know that it's very easy as human beings, and particularly as moms, to kind of lose ourselves in situations like this, like someone in your journey, in your situation. It's very easy for you to just overwhelmed, rightfully so. There's so many things you're trying to figure out as well, right? So many changes. It's very easy for you to just lose yourself. And sincerely, my heart goes out to every single mom that is going through, in fact, every mom, then moms that are going through tests like this, right? And I really, really, really applaud you. And like I said, I keep praying. That's like, because if I cannot be there physically, I think one of a very strong thing that you can do for someone send their prayer as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to know how you have been able to keep yourself out of that state of like dejection, or state of that self-pity mode, like you said, that when you share, you're not sharing necessarily for pity or anything. So how have you been able to keep yourself out of that kind of mindset? Or
Well, first, most things, I think I would say that I do a lot of researching. I do a lot of researching. I try different things, and I also mentioned, by sharing it goes a long way. So talking about it. So, but I started sharing a little bit, not so much in the past, and that was people will call my attention to stop sharing and stuff like that. So I went through this moment of pause, just to reflect, and I came back full time. I came back with full force, and I was doing so. What actually triggered that moment was that in the past, I used to complain a lot. I complained so much. I think if I go back to my previous posts for the past 5 years, I will find that I come on Facebook to, like I said, to pour out my heart. And I will talk about so many things, what is going on, what he's not doing, what he's doing, and the challenges, and I realized that I was really ungrateful at some point. So, and what got me to that realization was that an incident happened. There was an accident with my son in school last year, and I had to spend the night in on admission. Yes, he got injured. Wow. He got injured. He had a deep cut on his belly while he was running around, and it was so scary for me. But spending that one night in the emergency with him, I spent the night reflecting that night, and I thought that I have been really ungrateful, because here is a child that I have that cannot express himself. He cannot talk. He cannot tell me he's sick. He cannot tell me, and yet we have almost spent over, I can't remember the last time I've taken him to the hospital. It's like the most healthiest when I talk about, having to take a child to the hospital. I take the other, his sister goes to the hospital more than every small thing. We are going to the hospital. He's like the most healthiest of my kids. He doesn't even get injured. You will expect a child like that with his hyperactivity and everything. You will expect him to always, even neurotypical children, boys, They can be those ones that are very active. They get injured. They're always going to the hospital for one stitch or the other. We've never had one single stitch. We've never had one single injury that will take us to that kind of level. We've never had a situation where I will go to the hospital and the doctor will ask me what is wrong with him, and I will not be able to explain. You know? And then it opened my mind to the fact that I have never been to this emergency. I've never spent a night in this for any of my kids, and him especially. Then I said, I have been ungrateful, Allah. And I came back home that day and I accepted that this was a challenge for me. And this was what Allah wanted me to see. Why this was the reason why this accident happened. And somehow I started seeing beyond what I am actually seeing. I started seeing things. Yes, I started seeing things and accepting that Allah brought Khalil to me for a reason. He wanted to bring out the best in me. Some of these things, everything in me has been there. This is my childhood. I've always loved to be a writer. I've always been, I wanted to be a journalist. There's so many things that I have, suppressed. And, I've even forgotten about these dreams until when he came around and I started, the interest started coming back up. And I realized that it was a calling for me. Allah wanted me to have this child because he knows that there's something I'm going to do that is going to be different. He knows that I won't sit by and be quiet and, hide in my sorrow. He knows I will write about it or even talk about it like I'm doing now. He knows that I will change people's lives with it. And the moment I accepted that as the test, and I told myself that this test, I must pass it. Because I have gone through so many previous tests. I went through tests in school. I passed it. I went through testing before I got married. Job search before I got my job. then I got married too.
So why would you now fail this one?
There was so much test. I passed it. Then infertility came. I passed it. Now look at me with 3. I said no. This one I have accepted. This one I am going to pass this one.
Inshallah.
So with all those things, they're having the right mindset, looking beyond what is actually happening now, and following the right people, listening to the right people that inspire you and educate you and bring you closer to linking your relationship with Allah. I think this actually helped me so much to get to where I am today. Alhamdulillah for everything.
Alhamdulillah. I'm just here smiling and alhamdulillah. I love all those moments where Allah is talking at you, he's calling you, and you know how they say that when Allah has your time, he really has your time. He's just looking at you that I've been trying to send a message, you are not listening. Don't worry, I know where I'm going to grab you, but alhamdulillah. I'm so happy that everything, seeing it's not enough to just say, okay, things that happen positive, but actually seeing it, accepting it, and knowing it for what it is so beautiful, and it helps a lot.
It's been peaceful. It's been peaceful ever since that moment. I've been a different person. I've been a different wife. I've been a different mom. My energy level is just on another level. Trust me, this wasn't my face like this, always lighting up how social media, the things that I've been doing. I've been living for me. That was just what I was saying.
Alhamdulillah. Yay! That's what I want to hear. This is the Radio Woman podcast, so we want to hear stuff like that. Mashallah, mashallah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure people listening, even if they are not going through your scenario, it's enough to just give like a perspective, a mind shift. Alhamdulillah. So let's bring this back to Khalil a bit and your family generally, right? So I'm curious to know, what practical strategies have you employed? I know you do a lot of research, you've learned. What practical strategies do you employ to help him and your family in general to try it, right? To just try everything.
Well, basically, what I try to do as much as possible is engage him. I try to engage him in conversations, even though he tries to run away most times. Once he sees that I'm in that mood for that conversation, but I do as much as possible. We do a lot of readings. We have this moment at night before bedtime where we talk about Allah, we talk about stuff like that. I try to involve him also in, Quranic recitation with his sister. I try not to differentiate so many things in that aspect, And as a family, I involve all of us together. Alhamdulillah, in the beginning, it was challenging for my, men, sometimes it takes them a while to come into the picture and accepting, the child as he is. But now my husband has seen how the difference and the things that I've been doing with him while I'm engaging him, teaching him. And now he also gets involved in doing those same things. So I'm not the only one doing it. He's also he's also conversation. Exactly. So he also, when he comes back from work, he starts a conversation with him. They have their own kind of conversation, the things that he already knows that these are the things that daddy talks to me about, and he will respond to it. And, and he knows the one that I do, his sister, his big sister, she's been amazing. She's always helpful, trying to get him to do some other things. The little sister too, now, she's also pushing him to, wanting him to respond when she talks to him. So I actually involve everyone, and I have a help in the house, which she's very efficient. She knows so much about him. She's been with me since he was a baby. So we all work together as a team. I tell them what to do. I keep track of, his work in school. I talk to his teachers like on a weekly basis. I let them know everything. So basically my family, the teacher, the school, whoever is working with him, because we are not working with any therapist. I have actually not worked with a lot of therapists, apart from the time when he had his diagnosis. So I can say I did most of 80% of where Khalil is me. I have been the speech therapist, occupational therapist, behavioral analysis. These are all the therapies that you didn't recommend for children with autism. I have been the one doing all these things, mostly because we live in a Portuguese-speaking country. So it's kind of confusing for him trying to balance English. Exactly. So, and then I guide the teachers. I also teach them on what to do and how to go about with him. So this has been fantastic for me. Mostly the engagement part. I take them out. Like every week, I try to take them out, outdoors. I try to introduce them to things outside the house. I do a different type of activities and try to introduce him to different activities also to see the things that he likes, because because I wouldn't know, he cannot tell me I like this or I like that. But when I see the things he likes, I see how excited he is. I know that, okay, these are the things that he likes, and I'm able to take note of those things.
Mashallah.
So,
Barakallah, people say you've done well, and may Allah continue to guide you and ease your affairs and let you know what works for Khalil and your family. All right. So when we're talking about this, you mentioned your career and all that just briefly. So I want to know. I know this whole experience has made you put your career, based on our discussion as well on the don't leave before you leave event. You had to put your career at the back burner for a lot of years. And what did this experience or situation do for you? So I know there's some women that maybe they're not necessarily like career women, so you might not really, some people just want to stay at home and all that. But I think for you, you were working before you even moved. And all that. So what did this do for you?
Well,
and just share to the level that you are comfortable sharing.
Yeah, that was a really challenging, a very challenging. In fact, that was one of the first challenges before autism came into my life. And being a stay-at-home mom, because I have been a stay-at-home mom even before it wasn't like it was because of because I just relocated to a new place. They speak a different language, so it was challenging getting to work immediately. So I was actually working on learning the language, and so many things are there about. But you constantly have people. I know they did mean well. Constantly pushing business ideas on you, but they don't understand that before you can start a business, you have to observe the community. You have to know what you can sell in that area. I can't just move in within a year and say, oh, I know this is what I want to sell. I have to be observant. I have to know what is going on around me.
Yeah.
I couldn't work, but people thought that I just didn't want to work, and I, just saying, and then there were always, some kind of remarks that I didn't really like. I never enjoyed staying at home for what from. In fact, from the first few months that I relocated here, it was a disaster. I was constantly on my husband's neck. That was my first stage of depression. In fact, it was just really bad. But I had no choice. At the point, I had to come to the reality that what is wrong with you, Gon? You are not suffering. It's not as if you're doing okay, you're doing fine. Then it's just my mindset that I never wanted to be. This was not the plan I had in mind to do, for myself. And so it was not now at the time where I already registered for, because I mentioned I always wanted to be a journalist, writer, and I wanted to do a second degree. I enrolled in the university here. I started, and can you believe it was that same period that Khalil's diagnosis?
No, you are giving birth.
That was when his symptoms started showing, and then I had to drop out. I had to come back, and pay attention and stay with him, travel with him. So, and that was how I put my dreams, aside again and started working. But in the end, see how Allah
instead of your own plan, Allah he redirected you, but it's still coming back to it.
Exactly.
More than what you would have learned in school,
exactly. So it took me a long way, because now I came around and started doing it, and I didn't even have any kind of, I always thought that, no, I have to do a course before I can, get better. But I was just doing my thing, and I was getting better at it. And people will reach out to me and be like, oh, you're so good with your words. You write so well, and you do this and you do that. And I'll be wondering, what are they saying?
Hey, is it me?
Exactly. Yeah. So alhamdulillah, I was planning, Allah has his plan, but I'm still grateful for the plan and the path that he put me to get to where I am today. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And it can only get better from here.
Yeah, inshallah.
All right, so let's talk about your platform. So I know you've been raising awareness about autism. Can you share more about it? What plans do you have? And I know you launched so it was from your website launch that I came across. So I know you launched your website.
Yeah.
So you want to share more about what you're working on, and if there are other things that you do as well.
So when I started the website, as at that time, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to help parents. I wanted to be a voice, especially for Muslim moms, but not just for Muslim, but especially for Muslim moms, because when you go online, during the early years of my diagnosis, I go online, I don't find people talking about in a Muslim setting. I don't find anyone teaching a child with autism how to read the Quran, or how to pray Salah, or how to, these are the things that, we can do. And
you don't really see people like you.
And if you have such child, some people, I've met some mothers that they'll be like, this child I'm still struggling with, how can I teach him how to read Quran? But it's actually something that we can actually teach them. So I felt like if I want to be that place where you will go to find, exactly, where you can find something that relates to you as a Muslim, when I share my story. So initially, I was just the blog that I launched, but I had plans to do other services like, consulting, people consult with me, helping people navigate their journey. Maybe a parent just find out that his child has autism, and he's scared, and he doesn't know who to talk to, So I want to just be able to talk to people, guide them on where to go. I have a small community on WhatsApp. I, also have my son's page where I share daily our journey entirely. I share a lot of educative posts that's journey with everything. Exactly. So basically, right now, this is what I am working on right now to improve in the information, to get so much information out there, include sharing it, by letting it be educative and also part of our story. So you, on my page, on my son's Instagram page, you find a lot of videos from where we started. I think I started the page in 2018. It was just for me to see and monitor his progress. And, you know, sometimes when you look and through videos, you will actually see some things that, wow, he has actually, you know, so it was just how it started. I didn't know I was going to come and use it today so now I send people there. People come to me and they'll be like, oh, my son, and then I tell them, go check out my page, see how I started. My son was this, he was that. So, you know, exactly. So I want to be that voice to give them hope, to be able to, you know, come to me and talk to me when they want to, when they need someone to inspire them, motivate them, or to help them through their journey. Like I said, one unique thing about my journey is that I did not have a therapist. I can say we only worked with a therapist like maybe a year or all in all. But I only picked some of the things that we did with the therapist. I did most of these things by myself, by doing my own research, you know, trying what works for us, and sometimes just innovating my own things, you know, on how to work with him. So if I can actually do this and get my son to the point where at least now he's making requests, he can tell me, I want something, I want that, you know, he can read his alphabet, he can read, even though he doesn't understand what he's reading. We've actually evolved so much, and this is all me doing it. So if I can actually do it, I believe that any mother can do this with determination and dedication and consistency. Yeah.
Amazing. Barakallah fikum. May Allah reward your intention, make it possible. And like I said, you know, just do it one step at a time and just follow. So for me, it's just like I don't even have like a plan A to Z, but I'm following, I'm executing. Just taking anywhere, you know,
exactly.
So I'm just taking it one step at a time, and everything is just piecing together nicely. And I'm just like, this is even grander than anything I could have planned, like A to B, right? So alhamdulillah.
This year I am on a journey of self-discovery. I am still on that journey. Tomorrow I don't know where I will be, but I'm just really going with the flow, you know. I'm just going with the flow.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. May Allah continue to guide you and, you know, open up the way all right, so we're rounding up. So I think the last two questions I have for you is, you know, number one, we're on the Radiant Woman podcast, so I would like you to tell me what being a radiant woman means to you. Then lastly, I want you to round up with, you know, a word or two or sentence of advice for, you know, other mothers on similar journeys, or mothers in general, basically, but more in particular, mothers with neurodivergent children.
So slow down. So you take it one at a time.
Okay. So number one is, what does being a radiant woman mean to you? All right. In a word, in 2 words, in a sentence, you know.
Well, being a radiant woman, I would say strength, dedication, and consistency. There's 3 words.
Mashallah,
yes.
Mashallah, amazing. I've never heard that one before, but yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, definitely to be radiant.
We don't get anywhere. We don't get anywhere without consistency.
Yeah, mashallah. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So you guys heard it. To be a radiant woman, you need to have strength. You need to be consistent, and you need to be dedicated. To everything that you do, mashallah. All right. So last thing, what advice would you give to women or families on a similar journey to yours?
Okay, so first I would say acceptance. Accepting the child as he is. Accepting your child is unique and special. It goes a long way. That is usually the first step. The moment you accept, you begin to see every other thing falling in place. But when you stay in denial, you will just continue to drown yourself in sorrows and, you know, sadness the whole time, and it won't be helpful to you. Secondly, be extremely patient. Extremely patient. You need extra patience to be able to work with a child with special needs. Just be patient. Everything will be It could be slow sometimes, but it will fall in place at a time. Lastly, I would say have faith, believe in your child. Know that your child, you have to first believe in your child before you can convince any other person to believe. You have to see strength. You have to see beyond what you are seeing today. Autism diagnosis is a journey. It's a journey, not the not the destination. Sorry, I'm used to saying diagnosis, not the destination. So, and inshallah, if we believe that Allah has a purpose for us, it will turn things around for us, and we'll be able to see beyond what we are. And surely with every difficulty comes peace. May Allah make it easy for us.
Ameen, Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much, sis. I feel like I've just gone through a master class and life transformation class, basically with you this evening. Thank you. You have inspired me. And again, you don't have to be in this kind of situation for you to pick up things. You might have family members, you might have friends, that have children with special needs or on the autistic spectrum. There are a whole lot, right? So it's just picking up things from people here and there, how to support these people, how to treat people, knowing that not everybody is like you. People have are going through a lot of things, different things, and just being able to give people grace and being accommodating of others as well, and also putting them in our prayers. I keep saying this, it's
exactly. We need more, when in terms of support, we need people, just showing up for us. People are sending us that they remember us, occasionally just checking up on you. How are you doing? How is your son doing? How are things going on with you? May Allah make it easy for you. You are in my prayers, you are in my thoughts. It goes a long way to any parents having a child with special needs. Believe me, it goes a long way. I hold certain people at high because they always checking on me. They always exactly. So I think this is really important for people to be able to show kindness, empathy, and to people, to parents and mothers with children with special needs.
Mashallah, mashallah. We've heard you. We have learned, we are learning, and we will implement.
Yes, you can see, you continue to learn more.
Yeah.
Follow my journey with FG.
Where can people find you?
I'm on Fatimah Giwa 10, but mostly I post a lot on Journey with FG about our journey on the spectrum.
And on Instagram or on Facebook?
On Instagram.
On Instagram, okay.
Journey with FG on Instagram. On Facebook, I am Fatimah Giwa Abdulrahman on Facebook, and then on my website at www.fatimahgiwa.com. You can find me on all those pages. Yes.
I'll signpost them in the podcast notes as well, so people can find you.
Okay.
So if there's anyone listening to this that is going through something like this, or knows someone that is going through this journey of having a child or a relative on the autism spectrum, please feel free to reach out to Sister Fatima. She would be more than happy to share our own experience and help you as well. Of course, with Allah's help, it's not by our might alone, but she'll be more than happy to help you on that journey. Definitely, currencies, I've learned a lot. And thank you so much again for coming on here to share so beautiful and so openly about your journey. Barakallah fikum, may Allah bless you. May He continue to love you and your family. And
I mean, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I actually didn't expect that. I'm like, me on on the podcast.
You'll be surprised, and that's why it's good to just share, because you never know.
Yeah, who's going to catch your attention. Yeah, whose attention you're going to catch. I really appreciate being here. It was. I'm usually very tense and shy speaking, but I felt we connected.
Relaxed with me. Mashallah.
I felt relaxed. I felt welcomed. It was a form of therapy also today. So I got to talk to someone.
Mashallah, amazing, amazing.
Thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing. It was one of the things that actually attracted me to your page too. Like, I need people to inspire me, to push me, to motivate me, to be able to be a better version of myself. And I find some of those things on your page. So well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so you guys heard it. Follow our pages, follow us, discover, listen to the podcast, share the resources, and may Allah bless you all. Thank you so much, sis. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. You would agree with me that this was such an enlightening conversation. If you had no clue about Wow. You would agree with me that this was such an enlightening conversation. If you had no clue about autism prior to now, I bet you've learned something, and you can also really see the importance of empathy in our lives. If you're a parent of a child with autism, may Allah reward you with goodness. Please know that you are not alone, and we will do better in supporting you as best as we can, inshallah. To sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, caregivers, or a family member to people with autism who are doing the good work, we appreciate you and well done. As a reminder from this episode, please strive to show kindness as much as you can. We are all clearly dealing with different issues in our personal lives, so let's be gracious with people. Till next time, my people, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who might benefit from it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.